Good afternoon. Saturday, December 7th. I'm Joey Only Caribou Weather Dude here on the YouTube channel. Looking at the next bunch of days for BC. It's kind of improving conditions coming towards us after some very nasty stuff that came with this warm-up that slammed in. This storm that moved in really pounded an atmospheric river level 3. There's still some precip going on in BC. It's nice in Wells right now, though, nice and sunny. And I think that's indicative of what's to come. Yeah, thanks everybody out there. It's been a really hard week. Yeah, there was a death in the house of our friend and roommate, and that was wild and sad. There's been a lot of people who've stepped up in the community here and said things, and people on my Facebook. Also, though, it seems to have opened an avenue for trolls and bullies. And, I just think back to a week ago when my phone was dinging nonstop all last Saturday night from some from obsessive viewers, some from trolls, some from friends who were just drinking, and I felt like I was maxed to my limit at that point, like I was going to lose my mind, like I should just quit. And then even seeing some of the crazy negativity that was thrown at me this week, even despite what was going on, just ruthless, man. And so many of you who, like, earlier this week stepped up and was like, hey, don't quit, Joey, and put a donation in, did something, said something. I got to thank you all because you really set a tone for me earlier this week in what became a very difficult week. One where if I was allowed to have had those feelings I had after last Saturday night, after a week ago, persist, and then have on Tuesday morning the death in the house here and all the things that happened and the police and the ambulance and the coroner and everything, it was fucked up. And if I had to deal with some of the nonsense that came after that, I would have lost my mind. Well, I've also got some really good news today we'll talk about. So anyways, the more good news than bad news, I think, today on the Bad News Show. Change of pace. Let's go. There it is. This is bad news. My God.
Falling out right now.
Anything could happen.
Get on!
Wow. I'll watch the video later.
Water.
They try mopping this. Rainfall warning down the coast for Howe Sound, North Shore, Vancouver, Burnaby, New West, all those places. Squamish up to Whistler. Localized flooding due to blocked drains. 50 to 70 millimeters. We'll talk about that. So a heavy rainfall, but nothing totally crazy. No, we do have snowfall warning until Sunday afternoon. So that is one thing to be watching for. If you're going over the Coquihalla, going to be really bad there. A strong Pacific low pressure will be arriving on the south coast. Moderate rain is expected this morning. Rain transitioning to snow now in the afternoon. Then periods of moderate flurries through the night. Snow is expected to ease Sunday afternoon. So you got some time coming up there. You do not want to be necessarily going over that Coquihalla Pass, especially if you are not a winter driver, not used to this. So we got a bunch of different things going on here. Freezing rain warning in the Paulson and Kootenay summits. So that's this afternoon. That should subside. So that may already have finished for you. It's going to be hard to tell, though, because it's an area where on radar, I really don't. It's at the very bottom of where our radar reaches, so it makes it hard to find out. But that will transition to a snowfall warning for you, right? So that through today will at some point transition from rain events to snow events, and then you'll have 15 centimeters probably coming down on top of that. So some big time snowfall through the Kootenays as well. Got a snowfall warning and a freezing rain warning that continues, in the Kootenays this afternoon. So like we said, that'll probably ease off for you maybe by the time you even watch this episode. Snowfall warning that's going on through this parts of the BC interior. That would include areas of east of Salmon Arm, areas like Revelstoke, looks like maybe not Micah Creek, but kind of the area, nearest adjacent to Kinbasket and over the pass into Revelstoke, 10 to 20 centimeters there expected. So we got this big winter storm warning going on in Alberta right now. They got freezing rain happening up there until late this afternoon. And then if you go over to the eastern side of Alberta, 10 to 15 centimeters expected there into the, not quite, maybe Wilkie, maybe actually Hank Vleister will get this. 50 to 60 kilometer an hour wind gusts. Freezing rain could last up to 6 hours and then have 10 to 20 centimeters of snow on top of that. 2 centimeters per hour. Extent of freezing rain will be heavily impacted by local temperature regimes, of course. So hard to predict is what they're saying, exactly when and where and how that might play out. Freezing rain warning also for all those areas north and northeast of Winnipeg, along Lake Winnipeg, Thunder Bay area. Freezing freezing rain warning for you, up to 2 millimeters on some surfaces. So that's happening. If you head over more so into the Ontario proper, you get the weather advisory all along the edge of the lakes here, 10 to 15 centimeters possible. That's more or less all of Ontario, except for that very southwestern area. And you may get some precipitation down there, but you're not getting snow, it doesn't look like. Snowfall warning over on the Quebec side, not quite into Montreal, but that whole east of Ottawa Valley side of Quebec there. 15 centimeters expected there. Holy cow, there's so many different warnings going on today. It's really quite impressive how bad it's getting out there. And we've had this storm going through eastern Canada the last bunch of days. It's still continuing into the Newfoundland area this afternoon. They've been taking it hard in Newfoundland. 141 kilometer an hour reported at St. Anthony Airport. 139 wreck house area. Wreck house winds for you. So some pretty intense winds, damaging winds. I don't have the details on what has happened there necessarily for power outages and things like that, but I would imagine there's some cleanup that's happening when this is all done there in Newfoundland, and suddenly you got snow coming in behind, and just a messy low pressure system that came on Thursday. It got stronger as it tracked across Labrador on Friday, and then it brought periods of strong southeasterly winds to the island on Thursday night into Friday morning. It eventually eased and the low pulled away, but the storm continues. High stream flow advisories down along the coast also going on right now. We'll have a look at that right now. This was already issued yesterday, so keep in mind. And this isn't anything big. I don't think this is a big deal. This is kind of typical situation, but nonetheless, some information for you. Bella Coola, Kincombe, of course, South Coast, North Vancouver Island. This very warm, moisture-laden low-pressure system has come to the BC coast on Friday. It has brought widespread precipitation to the province. The primary focus was that central and south coast. Precipitation totals were moderate to heavy. Unseasonably high freezing levels accompanied the storm, caused a sizable proportion of precipitation to fall as rain or freezing rain, but it also has caused a lot of melt. And that's what I discovered yesterday trying to drive home. If you watched my video last night where I'm plowing through slush that was so deep, it was literally, even at going 35 kilometers an hour, it was just flying onto my windshield. I would not have been able to drive if there'd been anyone coming, if there'd been anybody on the Barkerville Highway besides us. But no, we didn't see anybody. After Cottonwood especially, I'm pretty sure we didn't see one vehicle. Nobody was dumb enough to be out there driving except for me last night. It was short-lived. It's taper off by Saturday, so it is ending right now. And by Sunday, drier conditions will be building, right? So the river conditions will rise in response to the rainfall and snowfall. And that means that today and maybe even Sunday, hydrologic modeling is indicating the potential for peak flows in the 2 to 5 year return range. So this isn't crazy stuff, right? Rivers across the coast and Vancouver Island are generally at near normal seasonal levels. That's great news for after the drought we've had off and on for the last couple of years. Several weeks into the accumulation season, mid to high elevation snowpack is well established. Lots of snow up there, expected to be fairly resistant to melt despite the potentially elevated freezing levels driven by the upcoming storm. So they're not too worried about melt, even though my experience here in Wells is things are melting like crazy. The combination of drier antecedent conditions and likely stable snowpack, as well as the relatively short duration of the storm, are expected to be mitigatory for flood hazard. However, high flows and localized flooding are possible at lower elevations. So it's a very sad week here. Very sad week, but some positive news to report at least, and some good things. And but even in the midst of a death in my home, it's still, people are that ruthless. They were willing to use that to try to attack me, to say things that were hurtful. And it's just Brendan Felker going on about how I need to drink 10 shots of whiskey and just get over myself and this and that. Like, dude, I don't drink. And just unbelievably offensive and hurtful of things that people like you will say, and hide behind a keyboard. Here's our remaining atmospheric river coming into southern BC now, more or less. We've had our turn through most of the Caribbean. There is a little bit of stuff going on here in Prince George area right now, but more or less our cloud deck is sitting over southern BC. It's sitting down into Idaho, Washington State, Oregon, even coming up into, and it's spilling over into Alberta. And we got winter storm warnings in Alberta going on. We got freezing rain warnings happening through other parts of the prairies and into Western Ontario. We also also have right now new storm forming Ontario, special weather statement in effect there. So some stories going on out here in the at the end of the Aleutian Islands. Is this 957 low? That's pretty deep low. It will affect us later sometime. This high pressure is going to have to ride up and around and try to get to us somehow. So we do have some weather coming next week into BC, but it's going to take a little while to get here. It may be later than mid-work week. It could be even Thursday or beyond that we start seeing that weather. So no clear. It's too far out to have clear indication yet. Thanks to Diggy's Diners, I have this awesome weather station here in Wells. Very much appreciate you, Shannon and Curtis. Thanks for the love this week, and really appreciate you guys. And hey, if you're in Wells, go find out what Diggy's Diner is. Those are my friends, and they support me. And look at this, Wells, BC. We have just hit 10C on the dot right now. It just happened right now. It says 9.9. The update in 20 seconds might say 9.9, but there you go. It's 10 degrees. That is, well, how nice is that? How far do we have to go back to find the last time it was 10 degrees? Well, so far, that's the only time this month it's happened. What about last month? The last time we hit over 10 degrees was on November the 7th, it looks like. Ever since then, we've been going down. In fact, we even had down to minus 16 at one point. Yeah, a little bit of a long one today. I didn't think I mean to go into so much detail, but this is what happens, right? When we get talking and we get looking at everything. So we have big change already down south in the snowpack. Everything's at very high there and should be for, well, a day or two and maybe getting better. So just to avoid avalanche terrain altogether down the south coast. And you know what? Even on the island, I wouldn't bother, right? I'm concerned that people are out here right now in Wells going snowmobiling. It's Saturday, and it looks like we are extreme. And I saw last night when we was coming down the Devil's Canyon, if you watch my video about our crazy drive, you'll hear me at one point at the very end of the video say, oh, look, a small avalanche. That gives us a clue. So I was expecting something. What do we have right here? It looks like an incident report. Silent pass class 1. Doesn't say anything besides snowmobiling. Let's have a look at the image and just see. Observed avalanche, I guess, but nobody caught in it or anything like that. But it looks like it was happening where they were sledding. So they were probably right next. It looks like they were very much adjacent to where this whole slab let go. So there you go, friends. You want to go up for a weekend rip. And some of you guys, it's like you spend all year working. You work, and then you buy this expensive machine and you want to get out and play with it when you actually have a chance to do so. And I don't know. I wouldn't this weekend. Even if it says it's going to improve tomorrow, I wouldn't. I'd wait for the snowpack to settle back down. I should have been out saying this sooner because it's probably too late. There's probably people already out there taking risks right now in the Caribou. I really hope not. So the moisture-laden system continues to pummel the province. High pressure for the Yukon and northern BC interior are starting to develop. Weaker system is on its heels. It will move to the north coast today and slide through southwest BC tonight. So it is making a bit of a push. It's two separate systems, I guess, according to them. To me, it's just a continuation of the one shit show, but that's fine. It's however you want to define it. Snow showers continue over the southern BC ranges Sunday morning. High pressure builds into the province Sunday and Monday. Well, look at this. Look at this. All good news. Bam! Look at that nice ridging. That's some nicer weather for a couple days. Wednesday, and there's a bit of a storm down there off the Baja coast, and looks like we got a big storm coming in by Saturday the 14th, 15th. So. We got a bit of time here. There will be some precip this week in through BC. I think the north coast and into northern BC might take a little bit. Might have a bit of a setup again where southern BC is sitting back. And I know a lot of you have been really we don't have the snow yet. We don't have the rain. It's still pretty dry here in places, and I'm really hoping we can see still a turnaround in southern BC on some of those drought conditions. I mean, we've seen a lot of improvements, but I think we need to see them get pummeled the way we have up here in the Caribou for a little while. Looks like a little bit of snow happening down by a red zone, a transition mix in that South Caribou. That's out in the wilderness, more or less, unless you're on that 100 road that heads, more or less off the Fraser River there. Once you go over the Johnson Bridge there, just north of Williams Lake, then maybe you might find yourself out into this kind of area. But really, there's not much going on there. There's not much, a couple lakes, and there's some people. But precipitation still continuing. Looks like north of Cinema, more or less. So maybe if you're in Hickson and north, there it goes, takes a move up to Summit Lake. So some precipitation there. Some of that maybe snow. It says that there's stuff going on here, and there is some convective-looking clouds I've seen today. A little bit of a towering cumulus going on. So right near us to the north of us seems like that's happening, but still out the window, as you can see how bright it is in my place right now. If you've been noticing, because I have windows, the curtains kind of half open. Yeah, and some of this isn't a really good looking radar beam image. Like that's kind of fuzzy. The fuzzy is usually snow, because the radar just does not pick up snowflakes the way it picks up rain. You know, it doesn't bounce off the snow the way it does bounce off the rain. And we got that freezing rain still continuing down there. It looks like Nelson, Crawford Bay, Creston, over the pass. Those are areas you might want to be careful with. You got a bit of a mix there between Snowcan, Edgewood, and whatnot. And some snow in behind there. We expect to see some snow travel pull up. It looks like there is moisture, maybe some snow falling in areas along that number 1, number 5, number 3 sort of areas outside Hope. So I would think that your messy travel over the Coquihalla has probably already begun. I would be very careful now if you have any plans to be in high country in these areas especially, okay? So going over the Revelstoke Pass, probably going to be a real disaster tonight. I wouldn't do it. The snowfall warnings are good for there. Now, that's just a little bit of the tale of BC right now, and I don't like to usually talk about the coast too much because you have Weather Network and everybody down there. You have great people like Ryan Voutilainen. You even have Mark Ingalls, my partner in the Meteorological Project and Interior Weather and Wilderness Watchers. He's got his own weather group for the South Coast. You know, there's a lot of people who are talking about this area, and you know, I gotta pick my battles here and choose my battles, and so I try to be an interior forecaster, but people are watching from everywhere now, so I guess I gotta do both a little bit. Well, yeah, I just look over the next bunch of days, and you really see a bit of a clearing trend into the week. That high pressure taking over, bit of a lashing up north through Alaska, Juneau, maybe some will spill into northern BC, and then maybe by Wednesday, maybe into Thursday, we start seeing some precip into southern BC. Looks like some snow will be going on down there, and a bit of a show into the weekend with that one. Bam! Bam! Over this next bunch of days, you know, into the night, where you will see, you know, on both sides, because of that low, the way it's sitting there, just pretty much on Haida Gwaii, really, really putting some heavy snow into the coast mountains, and quite a bit of snow into the Kootenays, maybe some here in the Caribou Mountains overnight. So look forward to that. If that reaches you, then you get a bit of a break. That guy is now moving over to Alberta. He's now pushed to Saskatchewan as you get into Sunday morning. A winter storm going on all through there. That will eventually affect into Manitoba, so that gives you a bit of a clue. So I guess, you know, you could say that the big story for Sunday is going to be really that, you know, from the prairies, you know, even from Thunder Bay and west, and then kind of ending near the Alberta border as you get into the day, because it will, you know, eventually move out, and, you know, maybe just some random flurries. But there's your clearing conditions for BC, -10, -2. Yeah, let's see. We got some good temperature readings going on, and then rain in southern Ontario through Monday, snow through the north. That's what you're looking forward to there. And, of course, we got more forecasts coming. We'll have your work week forecast tomorrow. We'll take a better look at some of these things going on for BC, going on for everybody, try to have a better look at it. But yeah, you're going to get a bunch of nice days in BC once we get through this mess. So enjoy it. Maybe some nice conditions, and then that storm up there will lash the coast. It won't affect us inland too much for a little while until maybe overnight Wednesday into Thursday. And wow, look at that storm go off out east. Down to 968, the bomb just booming, exploding out there. So really, I think the story this week is that really on the eastern side of the country, that's where the most active pattern is. Like Mark Ingalls was saying, often how the jet stream works too. It's like one side of the continent's really bad, one side's really nice. And it's like kind of our turn to be nice for a little bit this week. Although, you know, we do have some precip moving through, and then that next storm eventually starting to form up off there by the weekend, and we could see a bit of a weekend story next weekend. That's next weekend. So let's get through this weekend first and see where we're at, see where this storm actually ends up landing, where it actually ends up moving. We really, you know, we're just guessing right now. Yeah, and here's some of the positive news I want to report. Remember the good old days here? People have been around a long time. Remember the good old days at Weather Watchers? I'd go to Barkerville and take photos. I'd take videos. I'd make forecast videos out in Barkerville. And then, you know, 4 years ago, everything was really good here. You know, it was like I was a couple months sober. I thought things were getting better, man. I was getting a job offer at Barkerville. Allie was pregnant. I thought life was, and then everything just evaporated. And one of the people who certainly made sure I couldn't have a job in Barkerville was this Kate Cox. And she caused a lot of trouble in the community, and I got tired of hearing about it. So I started speaking up. And for that, a pretext was used to ban me from the park for life. So now Carrie's taken over and Kate is gone and we have won. And me being loud and vociferous against her, I'm sure played a role for sure in swaying the public opinion. When you're the first person in town who says, no, that's not right, don't just accept that. And, eventually people come around and say, yeah, he's saying it. Maybe we shouldn't be scared to say it too. It's like you kind of open the floodgates. So, we had the forest fire here this summer and my crew showed up and the command center was in Barkerville. And I was like, well, guys, just so you know, I'm actually banned from Barkerville. There's a chance that we go to the command center and I am removed from the property and we are unable to fight this fire and we're sent home. Like, that's the reality. And then there I was, and I come across, and as soon as I get there, almost Carrie, who's head of security operations, and she walked by and just said, hey, Joey, kept walking. And in that moment, I looked at her go by and I said, okay, I see what's going on here. And then I also knew, I knew a lot of things in that moment. It doesn't take very much for me sometimes to deduce a lot. And I felt the respect Carrie nodded at me when it was her job to remove me from the premises, according to that piece of paper I still got over there. It says banned for life. So that has been revoked, and I think it was going to happen anyways. Once Carrie took over, I was expecting it. I wasn't going to ask for it because it's embarrassing to be banned from this thing. But now my kids and I can go back to Barkerville, and I think that with Lisa dying this week, it gave people like Carrie an in to open a conversation that they thought maybe I wouldn't be open to having, because I was wronged. I was. But you know what? That's over. And Carrie says we're going to start working to make things better around here again. And she said that to me inclusively, not like we at Barkerville are going to start working to make things better, like some kind of a corporate line. She's like, Joey, and maybe we fought a little bit, but also Carrie and I fought together against fires here in the Wells department. I think back to 4 years ago, I was on the Wells Fire Department. I was getting a job in Barkerville. My life was great. And I'm like, I'm getting sober, and I'm doing so good. I'm going to therapy. And it was like, instead of things getting easier in this town, it got harder. And the gaslighting, some of the bullying, some of the things I had to put up with in this town that I fought against. And I'm coming to a point now where I've won a lot of these battles, and I need to come off that anger streak I've been on for a long time. Since the boys got killed in the accident, I came home, I was like, and then the only time I left my house to do something in public, I got banned from Barkerville from life in front of my kids. It was really tough. And I'd spent the last year thinking I have no community. I spent the last year unwilling to leave my house. So I'm really stoked on this, and we'll be having some weather forecasts from Barkerville very soon. Thanks, Carrie. Thanks, Barkerville. It's good changes coming, and I want everyone to know that, because a lot of you who followed me for a long time after this happened last year said, wow, that's going on. And I started listing all the grievances in the community, because I wasn't the only one. I was just one of them. And people said, well, I'm never going to Barkerville again. And you were right to say that. And but now we have to recognize a change needs to happen, and people want to make it, and let's go. Let's do it. So that's what I got to say for today. Hit like, share, subscribe, keep supporting, keep helping, keep doing what you can to support this channel. I really appreciate everything, and it's been a crazy week. I started the week feeling exasperated and frustrated, and then a lot of you stepped up and said, no, Joey, we hear you. And I said, thank you, good. And then Lisa died, and then, the Barkerville thing, and then just some random trolls and some fighting with people who I thought were friends. It's been a crazy week, and I guess on that topic of fighting with people who thought they were my friends, people are posting around Williams Lake saying, "Oh, the pool, there's a unisex change room there, and it's how the gays are going to turn our kids into turn our boys into girls." And it's just like in a community Facebook group in a place like Williams Lake is just a sounding board for hate speech almost all the time. And all I said was, sounds like false outrage. And next thing I knew, I had people say, "Are you the one who's in there showing your dick to kids? And oh, he's not a weatherman anyways. He's no good at that." And then a guy I thought was my friend, he's like, "Oh, well, you're just a liberal from another town." Actually, no. The day that happened, that post, Thursday? My kids swam at the fucking pool on Thursday because my ex-wife takes them there because she's not worried whatsoever about. And then, buddy, after I call him out, he's like, "Oh, you're slandering me." He's like, "You guys were slandering me first. You said awful things, and you said you were my friend in the past, and you didn't defend me. You didn't say, no, Joey's not a predator. He's not like that. You know, he's a good weatherman. You had a chance to show your friendship. Instead, you joined in on trashing me, talking about a swimming pool that you don't use but my children do. Right? That's why you're blocked. That's why I don't ever want to talk to you again. You want to be a small-town bigot? Fine. I don't want to talk to you. Okay? The swimming pool is fine. What the actual slander was going on was against the swimming pool. That whole thread was about, let's trash the Williams Lake swimming pool. They made a unisex change room in there. It's like their woke plan to screw our kids up. Like, no one's trying to do anything weird. It's just you looking for things, obsessing about genitals, and looking for things that everything. Ah! So, yeah. You know, I can't accept that kind of thing. Can't accept that kind of thing. And that's some of the battles, just what an up and down week. And then finally Barkerville being like, we'll take you back, Joey. And then me just being like, you know what? I don't feel like fighting no more. You know, and then waking up today and having trolls criticizing me and on the Barkerville thread. It's like, I don't know you. Why are you here shitting on me on what's good news to me and my community? You know, and it's constant. It's constant when you're in the public spotlight. People are like, well, just ignore them, just block them. I know that sounds reasonable because it's not your experience. You don't understand what it's like having every hour of the day someone messaging you, good or bad, commenting on your stuff, trashing you, calling you this, calling you that. It gets to you after a while, and it's because it's coming from people who have no lives of their own. Nothing. They have nothing. That's the best they can do is punch up. Fine, punch up. You're beneath me. That's the show for today, everybody. Love yous. Talk to you next time. Bye now.